Thank you.
This is Dr. J and Professor Spike, streaming live from Long Island and Westchester, New York, where it's been a beautiful day, right, Professor Spike?
Well, I don't know. I've been in my basement all day, so
In
you'll
your
have to tell
basement.
me about it.
Well, on Wall Street, it was nice. I think
Oh, was it?
I recouped about half my losses from yesterday, but I
Oh,
think
okay. Well,
that might only be a temporary phenomenon.
yeah, I guess that's something.
It's something if I
I,
believe that
what I was doing was I was looking from year end, from the beginning of the year, just to see what was particularly deflated besides my ego.
yeah.
I mean, there. So I thought maybe there would be a play in saying, all right, move from something that only went down a little bit to something that went down a lot. But I don't like the stuff that went down a lot, so I'm not moving
Right.
anything.
Well, maybe you should do it the other way around. Move the stuff that
Yeah, I
went
know,
down.
right? Right, anti-leverage.
Yeah, but actually, that makes more sense because you'd be buying the better stuff.
Right. So I grab whatever shekels are left over and try to make stone soup out of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Kamal did by selling whatever athesis he had left and moving it into Walmart,
Yeah. Well,
for
you know something,
example.
yeah. One of the things from Tuesday's show that I came out with, even though the technicals were bad in terms of our broadcast, was that it seems that people are more worried about more worried about recession than they are about inflation.
Well, yeah, I think the Fed is determined to plunge us into recession. I think they have no choice.
Well, I guess if they had to choose their poison, that's the poison they're choosing.
Yeah, I think they have no choice. They have to plunge us into recession.
But that's
It's not.
only because the price of gold versus, and then, so then that being the case, the retailers like Walmart might actually come back faster than the banks would
Yeah,
or something like that.
the soft landing is like a figment of one's
Yeah,
imagination.
just like a jobless recovery.
Yeah,
It's the unicorn,
it's like landing the plane on a very narrow runway,
right?
too
Pulling
narrow.
a second Sully.
Yeah, so the question is, how bad a recession will we be in? That's the question. And when?
Right. And most people stop crying about inflation and worry about where their real worry is.
Well, at some point, the inflation puts us into the raising of the interest rates by the Fed and the fiscal tightening will plunge us into a recession, which might ultimately make us wish we had inflation if we wind up with bad deflation.
Yeah.
What's
Well,
worse, inflation or deflation?
indeed, that's a very good question.
I think in most cases, deflation is more
Deflation. Well,
dangerous.
yeah, deflation portends, but nobody's saying stagflation because no,
That was kind of unique to the 70s.
yeah, I mean, with this kind of employment rate, so it's like the opposite. You just like a jobless recovery is a unicorn. A job filled, you know, a job filled recession sounds a little bit on the weird
I
side too.
think
So
once we enter recession, you'll see layoffs,
right,
definitely. Right now, there's some sectors that are still enjoying, let's call it consumer spend, heavy consumer spend, like leisure and hospitality.
yeah, services.
Still, still, uh, still people opening their wallets to take that vacation. So it's not the high
Yes,
price of airline tickets, the high price of hotel rooms, the high price of travel in general is not deterring people.
you
But
know that's a
but
very
the
good.
high
That's a
price,
very good
but
point.
the high price, but the high price of automobiles is deterring people.
Yeah, no, I know. So that's why I'm wondering, like, what is your opinion? I'm thinking there's going to be a backlash. People can't get out because they don't have enough gas. People can't get out because flights are too expensive. Do we have plays like Netflix and Paramount coming back?
Could be,
Just that not because of COVID, but just because people have to find ways of entertaining themselves at home.
could be.
Same thing with Disney. I mean, Disney took a real hit, and I'm
Yeah,
thinking why.
yeah. It could be some of those pandemic plays might come back into fashion.
Believe me, I hope so because I haven't sold them since I bought them.
And despite the hit Zoom took, Kathy Wood says 15 times your money if you buy it now in
All
5 years.
right.
She's calling for a $1,500 price tag on the share of Netflix.
Well,
I still like Kathy.
What's she called for on the arc?
I still like her. Something.
Yeah, no, so do I. I'm still invested in her.
Yeah, I still like her. I think she's not a dumb woman. Just had some bad calls lately, but
Just before time.
So do we all, you know.
Right.
So let's take a look at who's here today. Meeker is with us, somewhere above the. He's flying. He's flying back from
the Atlantic.
Back from London, right?
15 minutes, right?
And Pete is with us. Pete is. I assure you, Pete didn't sell a single share of Athesis.
I'm sure he didn't.
And Mark Bucket is with us. And Mark, we're going to do Capricorn today. It made a very nice. It made a very nice intermediate term high. I think we're moving still higher in Capricorn. So you asked for it the other day. We'll do it today. Pete also has a crush on Kathy. I do too. I like Kathy. I would take her out if she's available. I would take her out.
Certainly a very interesting conversation.
I'd have to ask my wife's permission first.
Yeah, well, that's because you don't demonstrate the platonicness that you should.
Yeah.
When you talk about it.
Jay Powell saves the day, so back down tomorrow. That's the problem, you know. We get these relief rallies, and they don't last for more than a day.
So back down tomorrow we go. It's right. Did he do 75 or 50? I didn't look.
75. That was preordained.
Yeah, that was the whisper number.
I mean, it was more than a whisper. Basically, the Fed told the Wall Street Journal that they were going to do 75 yesterday.
Right,
so
to soften the blow, so to speak.
Wall Street Journal carried it through the story. Yeah, not only did Pete not sell it, but he bought more. That's my Pete. They don't call Pete Mr. Athesis for nothing.
Well, he likes to use that name.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the ones that I talked about in my tweet. I talked about Veru Pharmaceuticals, which has a drug for AIDS patients that pretty bad, that they wind up in the hospital, and it's this particular drug. I think it's a monoclonal antibody of some sort. Will stop it in its tracks and not stop the need for ventilators. It'll stop odds from forming.
Wow.
So they applied for emergency use authorization. I think they'll definitely get it. Their phase 3 data was very good. So Veru, we've talked about Veru in the past, but kind of forgot about it over the last month or so. So we'll give it another look. VERU. And also today, Capricorn, which we mentioned, and we have to look at Bitcoin. I mean, what's going on? Yeah. You know, is it going down to 13,000? What's going on? It was. I mean, it was in the 5,000s during the pandemic lows, I think. But I don't think we'll get that low. It's possible we take one more big dip down, though. So Bitcoin has been cruel to people who have put in, you know, their last dollar.
Right. I mean, if you didn't get in early, then you're in trouble.
There've been a lot of people that, you know,
if you're a day late, lost
their life savings by buying in at 50, 60,000.
Yeah. Well,
it's been very, very cruel, punishing, and a lot of people started buying in their 401ks.
Right. Like I said, if they bought it late while there was still a lot of hype, then they probably got it at an overly inflated price. Well, I got it in Ethereum, way overly inflated.
Bitcoin bounced after the Fed hiked 75 points. Bounced a couple of $1,000.
So it's
Still down,
is it a gold like play or is it a S&P like play? One never
Uh,
knows. Is it a
well,
gum or a candy?
I think it's still pretty closely correlated to the S&P. Pretty close, but much worse, much worse. Doing worse, relatively worse than the S&P.
Right.
Yeah.
At
So
least every now and then with the
we'll look at
indexes you recover a little.
we'll look at Bitcoin. We'll look at the spiders. We'll look at MicroStrategy, which is one way to play Bitcoin.
Yeah,
And
you got murdered
and
this week with
we
that
have to
one.
look at Apple because my thesis yesterday was that the mega caps will probably put in a bottom before the spiders and the Qs and the Dow. So we'll look for hints from Apple, maybe from Amazon, for for whether or
Yeah.
not the bottom could actually already be in. I'm
What
not.
about Microsoft?
I'm
We don't really
saying
talk about Microsoft a lot.
we could look at Microsoft.
I
Why
mean,
not?
in terms, I agree with you because these are companies I still like a lot.
Yeah, we
I
should
mean,
look at.
I don't want to be invested in Facebook as far as the
First of
fangs.
all, they're cash rich companies. They're going to withstand. They're going to withstand the worst recession ever if it comes to it. But no, if Microsoft goes out of business, the government goes out of business.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
and so does MSNBC.
So yeah. So I mean, come on. These are very secure companies. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon. They
And
could
Microsoft
come.
is
They could
less
come.
vulnerable to that stuff going on in
And
China.
throw in Google. Throw in Google.
Of course,
I agree with you. Leave out Facebook and leave out Netflix, but the other four
right?
very solid. And yeah, and the only thing that one of the things that troubled me a little is antitrust nonsense that's going on in the House, and
At Apple,
that scares me a little bit. Not
not for
too much.
Microsoft. They already won that battle back when Bush
Yeah,
became president.
not for Microsoft so much, but Google, Amazon, and Apple.
Yeah.
In particular, Google and Amazon,
Google is going to be vulnerable once John Oliver talks about it. You know you're in trouble.
and also Amazon. But when they start splitting up these companies,
Amazon, so Amazon was the one that John Oliver talked about.
often the
So he said once
shareholders,
that happens, everybody learns about it.
in the long run, the shareholders often do very well. So the pieces are worth more than the whole. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, very often. I mean, it doesn't have to be that way, but very often.
Well, it didn't happen with AT&T until years later when it sort of went
Yeah,
constant.
didn't it have initially? It did. They had Lulu, Lulu. What was that?
Oh,
Lucent.
Lucent,
Lucent really went zoomed. The people got it for free and it went to 100. I
right?
mean, shareholders
That's
were pretty happy for a while, and then they
yeah
got
for a year
then
there.
they got all the little baby bells, right? Yeah,
Right, you're right.
I think
But then all the baby bells got eaten up by Verizon, pretty much.
yeah. Well, for a while it was looking good for the shareholder. For a while. Okay, let's take a look at
Sure.
these charts. Okay, spiders. If you notice, the 38.2% retrace is kind of still in play. True, we did finish below it yesterday, and that kind of ruined it. The fact that we actually closed below it, but today we're sitting right at it again.
Mm.
It's you wouldn't say that it stopped exactly at the 38.2 if indeed yesterday was the bottom, but it plays a significant role in investor psychology nonetheless. Uh, I'm looking more towards the 50% retrace down here at 349. This line down here, which is, I don't know if I drew it. I got to pull this up. Yeah, I did draw it in. Three No, 349. I got to pull it down. There you go. That's the line. 340. Well, I'm not drawing perfect, but you get the idea. 349.
Yes.
Right in there. Okay, so I was also looking at 368, but I was trying to figure out why I liked 368 yesterday, and I couldn't remember. But maybe 368 has some significance. It probably does, or I wouldn't have that number stuck in my head. So 368 is another area that I think we get some support. But 349 would be the 50% retrace. So if indeed we continue going down, we might drop all the way down to 349 or lower, but 349 certainly is in play. Um, that's the spiders. I don't want to waste too much time with them. Veru, this looks quite good. We're at trend line support, if you notice. Right at the last 3 days, right at trend line support. Beautiful trend line. So, I mean, it looks like it's a stock that can launch because why? Um, well, I'm not sure that it's going to launch, but we have a double top up here at 1541, and I think that's an area that would provide stiff resistance. But until that point, it doesn't look like there's anything to provide any resistance. So I'm not saying it's going to launch to a million, but I think there's a fair chance it could go from 12.85, call it $13, to 15.40, 15 and a quarter, which is a nice little pop these days.
But this move was on news, not on a fundamental, really, right?
This one was
Not on
on.
a technical.
The reason I caught my attention was news,
Gotcha.
but I drew the chart. Obviously I charted it after I heard the news,
Right.
and the chart looks very good up to a point. It looks like it's got to get through this double top at, where's that double top? 1641. Yeah, so it could go up to 1650 very easily. That could be three and a half points of easy money. And I think the PDUFA is in August on this. So it might take a little while to get there, but I think it's got a good chance of getting there. If it doesn't hold trend line support, then I think you're looking at the low of the candle on I think it's
the top of the gap.
no, I'm looking at 1041 as this. I'll draw it horizontal, right in there. That would be the support. That would be a very strong support area, I would think. So if it starts going down with the market, if the market has another leg down, and this has another leg down, you could probably pick it up. First area of support right in here at about 1150. Second area of support at about 1040. So there you have it. We have support and likely resistance up at the double top, 1641. And we have a stock that I think looks pretty good technically and fundamentally, both. Both look pretty good. So this is an interesting one. I don't own any. Hesitant to start positions, but I might start one of this. Haven't decided. Capricorn. This one looks like it's set to run, doesn't it? It's just taking out the old highs and really has nothing to stop it. I see a gap fill all the way up here at 566. It's at 411 now. So that would be a nice, very nice run, 1.5 points, $1.50, 30 something percent, right? That looks very, very possible. What's going to stop it? There's really nothing in the
Uh,
way of
no,
nothing,
we got a
nothing.
nice upward trend going, right?
There's really nothing. I don't see any resistance, any resistance here, and there's plenty of support. The support being the lower of the day today. What was the support? The lower of the day today, 371. So support is not far below,
Right.
and resistance is way above. My kind of bet, Capricorn. Plus, I like it for the long term. Duquesne. This is the one with Duquesne muscular dystrophy, amongst other indications.
Right. No, we've been on this one for a while.
I own
Not
this
so much
one.
the tree play. I thought it was for something else.
I owned this one for quite a while, and I don't know. I don't know exactly how long. I've been in and out of it a few times too, but I've been in
But
it
was
for
it?
a
Were you
while.
always in it for the muscular dystrophy play, or was there another
Yeah,
play?
mainly that, but also it had an odds play, which I knew was a waste of time.
Gotcha.
But it did have that. We're in a bit of a Zoom channel now.
Hmm.
We bottomed back here in middle of May at 281. So from 281 to 411 is a nice little pop over the period of just a little more than a month. That's a nice run. Nice little Zoom channel. And I think we're going to continue to zoom all the way up to probably 566. And who knows, maybe more. I'm not sure what the fundamentals look like right now on this one, to be honest. I haven't been following, I own it, but I haven't been following it very closely at all. So the chart looks good. That's all I can say.
Let me ask you a question about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, you go
Um,
ahead.
yeah, I mean, you see how there's the start of that, the two parts of that really big gap when it must have been some bad news.
Yeah.
Why is it? Why wouldn't the top of that red candle be a point to worry about?
You could argue that it might be.
Because you're saying there's no resistance, that gap is not meaningful, but I'm thinking that gap came for a reason.
Sure. And a lot of people got in and got out at that point.
Right.
So yeah, that's a good point. If you can argue there should be some resistance at 4.5, 450.
Mhm.
If it goes above
Okay,
that,
I wanted to get your opinion on that.
if it goes above that, then you know,
Yeah, then there's every reason to believe the gap will get filled.
yeah, yeah. And that's all the way up 566. And if that gets filled, very likely we make new highs.
Hmm.
Bitcoin become a very much of a of a pain in a lot of people's butt,
Hmm.
including mine.
Do you,
Um,
you do you own a fair amount of Bitcoin?
I own it through GBTC, through Mara,
Right.
and through MicroStrategy, mainly MicroStrategy.
I own mine through Coinbase, but it's not really direct. It's just by virtue of the fact that
Yes, you
people
in
don't like
effect,
if people don't like Bitcoin, they're not going to like Coinbase.
it's strongly correlated,
Yeah, no, as is MicroStrategies.
as is even Hood.
Interesting. That does stand to reason, doesn't it?
Yeah. Let's see where the low takes us. That basically does look like some support right where I drew that line on today's low.
Hmm.
Looks like some
But,
support on the weekly.
but you're going to fall short of calling it a bottom.
Well, you can hope.
That's true.
I mean, it's as good an area of support as any, pretty much, right? It's pretty good, pretty good. I mean, where are you going to go back to? You're going to go back to May 2020 when it was 8,000 now. Let's see where the pandemic was. Pandemic lows were right here on 3.8 and yeah, 3.8. The low was 41.06. Just for the hell of it, I'll put in the fib retrace on this. I'll go to the monthly. It's be easy to draw. So where's the? I lost track of where we are. 1220, 1120. Down it went 2018, 1220, 120. So this is right around there. One of these months, that's 19. That's still 19. 19.
Hmm.
Is this it? Yeah, this is it. Okay. So it's that red candle right down there. Draw the fib retrace. Just for the hell of it. See if it's of any interest whatsoever. I gotta go up a little higher apparently. And we're past this, well past the 61.8%. What we are on the monthly is flirting with the support level on the 50-month moving average. I mean, it's something that I seldom look at, but
Yeah, monthly,
it is
especially for
interesting.
something that's not been around, all that long.
It is kind of interesting that we're flirting with that. Let's draw a trend line on the monthly. The trend line is going to be pretty much the same. So
Yeah, no,
whether it's
assuming that that's a bottom that you want to call, or somewhat of a bottom that you want to call.
yeah, let's draw it from the same area
Okay,
from that
want to do it from there,
from here,
from that
right?
one actually. That's the one you started with.
Yeah, I'm going to draw it like this.
Yeah, look at that. Well, you can even go down a little bit, but that's fine.
Yeah, I drew it from the close,
Yeah,
not from the low, but then it has a lot of hits at the lows. So it's close. Basically, we hit trend line support and went through it today, this month, I should say. But we're not at the end of the month, so it's a long way to Tipperary, and this looks, if you look at this month's high back here in 11/2020, the high was 19,845. The low this month was 20,181. Pretty damn close.
yeah.
And also look at this. It lines up very close with this high back here in 2017, 2017, 20,089. Today's this month's low, 20,181. Very close. So this is an interesting place to draw the line. It looks to me like it's as good a location as any for Bitcoin to stop going down.
Yep.
But you also have this high on the monthly. You could argue is a possibility. I didn't draw the horizontal.
Right.
I'll have to approximate the horizontal. That would be at 70, 75, no, 13,000. 13,796. That could again be possible, unfortunately. In fact, if it's going to go below where it closed today, this month or today, I think we're due for that. That looks like the big area of support at 13,700. That would be the next stop on the express train down.
Mm.
Well, that's like,
Well,
chopping off
cross your fingers.
chopping off another one third.
Cross your fingers that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, it looks scary possible though. It does look scary possible. That 13,700 area is, if it doesn't hold the low that it made yesterday, and it closes, a few hundred points below that, it could easily go down another 30%. Very scary. Very scary indeed. Bitcoin is, I don't know if I own it, and I'm not budging. I'm not buying. I'm not budging. I'm just holding it. But if it comes down to this 13,000 level, I'll be a buyer. I'll add. I'm not selling. I mean, if anything, I could consider, or one could consider buying some puts. That's about it. Either buying MicroStrategy puts, or puts on BTC US dollar. Let's take a quick look at MicroStrategy, and then we'll end with Apple.
Okay.
MicroStrategy. Apparently, I did do. Maybe this is still from. I'm gonna undo drawings. Yeah. What a collapse! Wow. This is as bad as it gets. On the monthly, wow, we're at the 200-month moving average. Pretty crazy.
Hmm.
And at what looks like an area of trend line support down here on the
I'm
monthly.
surprised this company's been in existence for this many months.
This company has been around long before. Well, it's been around from 2000.
Really.
It was a .com type company. I remember Michael Saylor driving in his little red sports car back in the .com era. When he launched this company, like in around 1999, would be my guess. Anyway, he's still the CEO and a Bitcoin lunatic. When this company was $900 a share not too long ago, and he wasn't a Bitcoin lunatic, he was a Bitcoin genius. But today, you could argue he's a Bitcoin lunatic because he's taking stockholder money, borrowing against his software business at low rates, thinking he can make a lot more with Bitcoin. And for a while, it was working beautifully until it stopped. That's the problem. But it is interesting, this, monthly. How do we get off the monthly? I'm tired of looking at monthlies. Look at the weekly, please.
Man, what are you learning?
Yeah, the trend, the line is still relevant. It has a lot of hits back here in 2020. So it's still relevant, this line, but for MicroStrategy. And probably if I drew from the pandemic lows to the top, it would look even worse, scarier than Bitcoin. Because I think this was 900 at the high, and now we're 171. Pretty scary stuff. Pretty scary. And it looks like we have a double bottom forming right here on the weekly. 2 weeks ago was 134.09, and this week was 143.90. Yeah, it looks like a double bottom. I'll draw that in too with that. See where that takes us. More or less the same place, I would think. Yeah, basically.
So it's going to bounce a or it won't?
This is tied totally to Bitcoin. It's just this company is Bitcoin on steroids. So whatever Bitcoin does, it does three times. This is like a three times ETF,
Like a leverage play.
like a leverage play. And it's scary from the top, I'll tell you that much. But that's
All
good.
right, Dr. J, we're hitting our 35-minute mark.
So we did what we had to do, right?
Yeah, I'd say.
I think we finished everything. And we did it in 35 minutes. That's not terrible.
I'll take
And I wasn't rushing. Let's just see what a few people have to say. Cabinet guy from the Green Mountain States. RLX.
Thomas is making fun of us talking about Bitcoin when we don't even own it.
I do. Well, I own GBTC. Isn't that the same
That's
thing?
right. No, GBTC is a direct play. It's true.
Yeah. Cab guy. How's Vermont? Cabinet guy. Well, Thomas, I do kind of own it. I wish I didn't. And Pete has Hood, BitQ.
Yeah, no, Pete's definitely what is it? Pot committed.
Pete is playing around it like we are.
Right.
And Mark, thank you for coming, Mark. Thanks, everybody.
All right. On that note,
we'll see you all tomorrow. Be well, happy trading, be smart. And as always, do your own due diligence because our opinions are strictly our own and do not constitute investment advice. Check with an advisor before acting. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. Give us a thumbs up or two. And subscribe if you haven't already. Hasta la vista.